folks, it's Joe at Emerald City Orchids, and we've got a great video for you today. We're going to be talking about the monkey face orchids, Draculas especially. It's a small section of Draculas, the monkey face orchid. It includes species like Dracula simia, which means monkey, Dracula lotex, Dracula gigas, and this one here, which is Dracula Amalie. I don't know how I'm going to say this, but that's not the name. It's a monkey face orchid for sure. You can see it right there. Looks like a monkey, clear as day, looking right at you. Beautiful little plant. Now, one thing that's weird about Dracula that really can make it hard to grow sometimes is that Draculas have a propensity to bloom from the bottom. They don't produce flowers out the top like their cousins, the Masdevallia. Masdevallias are very typically things that bloom out the top. You can see this tiny little Masdevallia here. They tend to bloom up and out. And some Draculas do, but really most Draculas like to bloom out the side or out the bottom, which is why we often put them in baskets. It looks like it's shooting up, but really it's coming out the side of this pot, right? Very interesting growth pattern. Now, why does it do that? Well, it's because Draculas grow in the forest at very, very high altitudes in the Andes Mountains of South America. What that means culturally is that they have a lot of cloud cover where they grow. They like a lot of shade. Draculas don't really like bright light. Draculas also get a ton of water. Where they grow, they're either in a cloud forest or rainforest. They're getting a lot of water and they're wet all the time. Draculas can tolerate very low temperatures compared to most orchids. We're talking about temperatures as low as 40 degrees in some cases. When they're growing up at 10,000 feet, it's cold up there. If you've ever been, you need a sweater. Even in South America at the equator, they also aren't going through huge seasonal changes either. So if your Dracula finds a zone that it likes, it can come into and go out of flower year-round. It's not like they bloom in spring or they bloom in summer. If it's cool and shady and wet, your Draculas will start to flower. Now, one of the things that will happen to your Draculas is that they can start to burn. You get these little spots, right, and little burn bits, and you can trim them a bit by just pinching the leaf, right? This is a Dracula lotex, one of the monkey face orchids, and over the course of the summer here in the Northwest, when the days are very, very long, we have to be really careful. This one got a bit of direct sun, and it torched the plant, which is why a lot of these bigger leaves, you'll see the tip is pinched off because we burned it. I'm sorry, but if you look real close in there and you go back to watering it regular, the new leaves are all coming in, and this is actually quite a large plant. This one's growing in a few directions. If you see here, growing 3 ways you can divide Draculas. If you get a nice big Dracula, divide it up, put it in some different baskets, and repot it. My preferred medium is sphagnum moss with a little bit of perlite in there for drainage inside a basket. That's how I like to grow it. It doesn't mean that's how you have to grow it. But if you put it in a pot and it's sitting in that pot, when the flower comes out, it'll hit the side of the pot and it'll abort. So whatever you're putting it in, you got to make sure it's got space on the edges for the flowers to come out. It also makes it really hard to take Draculas to a show. If we're going on the road, the only way we can bring it is if we bring it in the vehicle ourselves and it's hanging off a coat hook, which is why we don't see them much in the shows in flower. We'll bring it to you at the show without flowers all the time or ship it to you without the flowers. But if we put it in a box sideways, sometimes these stems get crunched and broken. They're really hard to pack and they're really hard to travel with. That's the only thing I don't like about them. Otherwise, they come in all these great colors. There's a lot of reds and oranges and yellows, and they make these cool monkey faces. It's the most popular one. But the Draculas also come in other shapes and sizes, right? One of the more popular Draculas that's not a monkey face is the Dracula vampira, named after the Count himself. These are usually very dark, and the Draculas are one of the only genus of orchids where you can find a lot of them and some hybrids made from them that are black. They can be real good, spooky plants. We like these Draculas a lot. They're real fun to grow. If you're going to do it at home, keep it cool. If you live in a hot area, try not to let it get too warm. Try to keep them under 75. They can go as low as 40 without problems and be wet. The other thing is that Draculas are very prone to fungus and mold because we're keeping them wet all the time. So one of the best things you can have for Dracula is a little air movement. Put a fan on it so that it's blowing some air across it. It won't get that fungus if you've got the air on it. It just won't. It'll trust me. Make sure there's nice air movement, cool, very wet, in some kind of medium or potting situation where it can flower out the bottom. Now the other thing is with fertilizer, you should be careful. It's okay to fertilize your Dracula, but they're not growing in a cow pasture, folks. These things get a little bit of fertilizer, but in nature, if you fertilize it, you really should wash it with clean water afterwards, because the unused fertilizer will turn into salts, and they don't like that. It can cause a little bit of a black tip at the end of the leaf, because if the plant absorbs any of those unused fertilizer salts, it'll push it all the way out to the leaf to save the core of the plant, and you get these black leaf tips. So when you fertilize Dracula, water with the fertilizer much as you want, hit it hard, it's fine. But wait 10 or 15 minutes and then hit it up again with some clean, fresh water, and that water will rinse all the fertilizer out, and that thing will explode with new growth. So if you're going to fertilize your Draculas, go for it. Just make sure you flush them with clean water afterward. They really do like that. And then otherwise, it's a great orchid. It doesn't have a season like you would expect. For a lot of orchids, because it's growing in an equatorial climate, it's not going through a very big swing of winter, fall, all these things. It's in a cloud forest, a rainforest. The climate's more or less the same all the time. So if you're wondering if your Dracula's happy, the real question is it blooming? If the thing is blooming, it's very happy. And if it's not blooming, then it's time to maybe change something. You might need to add water, maybe it's too warm, maybe it's too bright. If you have a cool terrarium with maybe, I don't know, some critters in it, but you keep the temperature low, Draculas do great. Because terrarium environments are very consistent, and they're not too big. Not all of them anyway. Especially these monkey face ones, you can do really, really well with. So if you want a monkey face orchid, this is a really good way to take care of them. We hope you enjoyed this video. Check out our other videos here on YouTube, and come on into the shop sometime. We're open every day for you folks.